SLT අලුත් මෙගා ලයින් කනෙක්ෂන් වලට 50%ක දීවන. තවත් ඔෆර් ගැන දැනගන්න 122 අමතන්න.
Tonight, finally someone owns up. Islamic State claims responsibility. However, Ceylon Tawhid Jamaat distances themselves from the attack. There were shortcomings. The president admits to lapses on part of Sri Lankan defence authorities. Take action now. Opposition leader Maithripala says the government should instruct authorities to take measures on national security. All that and much more coming up this Tuesday, the 23rd of April 2019.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhammik Eknayakan. Now let's start with the most obvious story that we're going to bring you. The number of people who lost their lives during the brutal Easter Sunday attacks has now shot up to 321, including 38 foreigners, while 375 are being treated in hospitals. Today was a national day of mourning and a 3-minute silence was observed island-wide in remembrance of the victims at 8:30 in the morning. With information being circulated that a suspicious lorry and a small van entering Colombo, all police stations in Colombo were advised to be on high alert. Meanwhile, the office of the police media spokesperson said that a police curfew will be in effect overnight from 9 p.m. State Minister of Defence Ruwan Gunawardena in the meantime said local extremist group that is National Tawhid Jamaat is responsible for the attack. The group, dubbed the Ceylon Tawhid Jamaat, meanwhile moved to distance themselves from Sunday's spate of terror, giving clarity to their identity. In such a backdrop, the so-called Islamic State claimed responsibility for the Easter Sunday bombings.
International media today reported that the so-called Islamic State claimed responsibility for the Easter Sunday killings in Sri Lanka. According to foreign media, the terror group's Amaq news agency stated that the group did not give evidence for its claim. They further reported that the terror group's news agency made the claim on its channel on the encrypted messaging app Telegram and said, quote, "This bloody day is our reward to you," unquote. Translating the message, foreign media also said, quote, "The perpetrators of the attack that targeted nationals of the Crusader Alliance, which is anti-IS US-led coalition, and Christians in Sri Lanka the day before yesterday were Islamic State fighters," unquote. Meanwhile, local group titled Ceylon Tawhid Jamaat distanced themselves from National Tawhid Jamaat and other Jamaat organizations in the country. Condemning the attack, they said that the leader of National Tawhid Jamaat, who is suspected to be dead, must be still alive.
We condemn the inhuman and ridiculous attack which was occurred in the Easter Sunday, and the National Tawhid Jamaat is assumed to be accused by the government that they should be the victims of this attack, and we Ceylon Tawhid Jamaat or any other Tawhid organization, they are not connected with this National Tawhid Jamaat. National Tawhid Jamaat is an independent movement which was implemented in our country for the past 10 years. But after the 2016, the founder of the National Tawhid Jamaat, Zahran Hashim's personal ideology have been changed to ridiculous and IS supporting ideologies. So at that time earlier, we have informed the government of Sri Lanka and the intelligence service of our country about this ridiculous person. But the intelligence unit and the government of Sri Lanka and the security of our country has been failed to catch this. Any Muslim organization, they do not accept any kind of these kind of attacks, and what we are mentioning is the Tawhid Jamaat don't accuse Tawhid Jamaat totally for these attacks, because the government has informed the National Tawhid Jamaat are the victims of this attack. But what was happened in Shangri-La Hotel, all people are spreading news among social medias that the planner and the founder of this National Tawhid Jamaat, Zaharan, has been suicided in Shangri-La Hotel. But the photograph which was revealed in the public in social medias, it's not matched with this Zahran. We believe that Zahran is still alive. The dangerousness is happening in our country. The continuous attacks shows us that there should be an international connection with these isolated people, but no any traditional Muslim or no any Tawhid Jamaat organization are connected to this attack. All the Tawhid Jamaat organization has expressed their condemnation of this attack, and the isolated National Tawhid Jamaat group, if they are the people who has done this attack, they should be punished with the death penalty.
Now, President Maithripala Sirisena, in a special address to the nation, said that he intends to make changes to the heads of all security forces within the next 24 hours. He went on to say that within this week, measures will be taken to restructure the police force, the tri-forces and all other security forces.
ප්‍රධාන වශයෙන්ම ආරක්ෂක අංශවල ප්‍රධානීන්ගේ වෙනසක් කිරීමටත් මා බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. පොලිසිය ත්‍රිවිධ හමුදාව ආරක්ෂක අංශ මා සම්පූර්ණ ප්‍රතිසංවිධානයකට සතිය තුල පත් කිරීමට බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. ඉදිරි පැය 24 තුල ප්‍රධාන වශයෙන්ම ආරක්ෂක අංශවල ප්‍රධානීන්ගේ වෙනසක් කිරීමටත් මා බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
Sri Lanka police have now arrested 40 suspects who are being questioned by security forces officials. Police also request the public to leave their mobile phone numbers on display when they park their vehicles for longer periods of time at roadside, as further security operations are still underway across the island. Police also urge the public to contact the hotline 116 regarding information on suspicious individuals, vehicles as well as incidents. Now, we will bring you more information on what I just told you, but before that, now given the current concerns with regards to the country's security, the police curfew, which was in place until 4 a.m. today, will be in effect overnight. The Postal Services also responded to the current situation in the country and put some conditions in place pertaining to packages. Meanwhile, President Maithripala Sirisena issued an extraordinary gazette yesterday declaring a state of emergency in the country.
Issuing an extraordinary gazette notification, President Maithripala Sirisena declared a state of emergency in Sri Lanka from last midnight in bid to maintain public security and essential services. Emergency law gives police and the military powers to detain and interrogate suspects without court approval. Meanwhile, considering security concerns of the country, all packages to be distributed by local and international mail will only be accepted if the packaging is done in the presence of a post office representative. All postmasters have been instructed to only accept packages packed in front of authorized personnel. Accordingly, the public is advised not to submit parcels which are pre-wrapped. In the meantime, a police curfew will come into effect tonight as well. The police media spokesperson's office said that the curfew will come into effect at 9 tonight and end at 4 tomorrow morning.
The President's media unit says that foreign envoys in Sri Lanka and representatives of international agencies are unanimous in their expression of fullest support to President Maithripala Sirisena in curbing terrorism in the country. President Maithripala Sirisena has also expressed his confidence on curbing terrorism soon, as law enforcement agencies have already taken swift measures. A meeting between the head of state and foreign envoys was worked off today.
A meeting between President Maithripala Sirisena and ambassadors as well as high commissioners based in Sri Lanka, resident representatives of United Nations and heads of other international agencies took place at the Presidential Secretariat today. Addressing foreign diplomats, the President said that the series of explosions on Sunday is something which the government didn't expect. President Sirisena, however, expressed confidence that terrorism can be curbed soon, as law enforcement agencies have already taken swift measures to identify and arrest the criminals responsible for acts of terrorism, as well as those aiding and abetting such action. He added that the FBI and Interpol have already agreed to send teams of experts to assist local investigations. The President also said that he will ensure that emergency laws are not misused against the general public. The head of state added that measures will be taken to lift the ban on social media soon. Meanwhile, President Maithripala visited the St. Sebastian's Church in Katuwapiti of Negombo this morning to look into the present situation there and inspect damages caused to the church. The President expressed his sorrow and condolences over the incident to the Catholic community in the area. He also said that he had already directed the Sri Lanka Army to finish the reconstruction of the church soon. Meanwhile, the President paid his last respects to those who perished in the blast during the Easter Sunday Mass.
Opposition leader Mahinda Rajapaksa today piled the blame on the government over the string of blasts that left the country reeling. Speaking to media at the SLPP headquarters on Nelumawatha, Colombo today, the opposition leader also said that he advised the Secretary of Defence to refrain from making statements similar to the one he gave to a foreign journalist yesterday. Defence Secretary Hemasri Fernando told the journalist that the Ministry of Defence had information of a possible attack but did not expect an attack of this magnitude. He should work in line with the government's instructions, but the government should take the responsibility for what is happening. It's true that he made a mistake, but he works according to instructions he receives. Some say that he wasn't even asked to attend the Security Council. It's the government that is responsible for this and no one else. It's a very disappointing statement. I spoke with him this morning over the phone and asked him to refrain from making such statements. We are ready to support the government in facing this situation since it's a very sensitive one. It's our responsibility to point out the mistakes they make. They weakened the operations of intelligence units. The army had a very experienced intelligence service back then. I don't know if this government ever used them. Back in the day, all intelligence services took collective decisions. Former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa convened a meeting with them every Tuesday and exchanged information with each other. Today there is no such thing because the intelligence services are completely destroyed. Half of them are imprisoned and the other half were handed transfers labelling them Gotas and Mahinda's henchmen. Fonseca is the best witness on how intelligence units functioned during our tenure and he will testify on it. Now, Sri Lanka police have now arrested 40 suspects who are being questioned by security officials. Police also request the public to leave their mobile phone numbers on display when they park their vehicles for long periods of time at roadside, as further security operations are still underway across the island. Police also urge the public to contact the hotline 116 regarding information on suspicious individuals, vehicles and incidents. As promised, here are the details.
Security officials in Sri Lanka are in the process of uncovering crucial information with regards to the gruesome attacks that took place in 8 locations of the country. It is in this backdrop that security forces have identified the suicide bomber involved in the attack at a rest house in Dehiwala. It is now confirmed that Abdul Halif Jamil Mohammed, who was a resident of Kandy, was supposed to carry out an attack at the St. Mary's Church in Dehiwala. Although he had reached the church in the morning of that fateful Sunday, he had returned to the rest house in the area where he was residing at the time of these attacks. Mohammed had used 2 3-wheelers to and from the church and the rest house on Sunday. Police had taken both three-wheelers into custody and apprehended the drivers. The owner of the rest house is also being questioned in police custody. Meanwhile, police officers have also arrested another person on suspicion near the St. Mary's Church in Dehiwala today. He is a resident of Dematagoda. Security operations are being conducted across the island today as well. In one of these operations in Nochiagama, police found explosives at a house that is located near a fuel station. 23 packets of ammonia weighing 25 kilograms, 314 water gel capsules, 46 rolls of normal red-colored thread and 18 rolls of normal orange-colored thread were found. 8 residents, including the owner of the house, were apprehended by the police. Meanwhile, the explosive ordnance disposal personnel of the Sri Lanka Air Force today made a thorough check of a motorbike that was parked near the Kingsbury Hotel in Colombo. However, no explosives were found. Police Special Task Force also conducted a thorough search in and out the luxury house in Dematagoda, where one of the explosions took place on Sunday. Police K9 unit was also deployed in the operation. Some of the neighbouring houses were also searched during today's operation. Following a tip-off regarding a suspicious car parked at the Pitakote junction, the bomb disposal unit of the STF took swift action to evacuate citizens from the area while they searched the vehicle. However, nothing suspicious was discovered. Meanwhile, following a tip-off via the police emergency hotline 119, police and police special task force took immediate action to search a three-wheeler which had been parked in a crossroad in Kandy for a few days. A Dutch national had then came forward to say that he had hired the three-wheeler a few months ago. Army officials today also conducted a thorough search inside a bus that was parked at premises of the Hittatya temple in Mathura during the early hours of last Sunday. After confirming that there are no explosives inside the bus, officials took the bus to the Mathura police station. Meanwhile, the bomb disposal unit also took swift measures to check a parked car near the Paduka Divisional Hospital, which had its engine on since morning. However, nothing suspicious was discovered and the vehicle was taken into police custody. Security officials also conducted special search operations in Kurunagala today, during which the teaching hospital, mosques, public transport buses, as well as stores were thoroughly searched. Following information that a person left a parcel he brought inside a private bank at Navamawata in Colombo, Police Special Task Force, police as well as the explosive ordnance disposal personnel of Sri Lanka Air Force conducted a search operation at the bank. However, no suspicious parcels were discovered. Meanwhile, police took measures to go through a parcel that was left near a private bank in Bambalapitiya yesterday, which was found to be a brick that was neatly wrapped. Police request the public to refrain from engaging in such activities which mislead people. Police spokesperson SP Ruwan Gunasekara emphasized that strong legal action will be taken against such persons who engaged in these activities. Information of a suspicious lorry and a van surfaced today, and the Deputy Inspector General in charge of Colombo instructed all police stations in the district to beef up security in the city. Police meanwhile request the public to leave a note with their mobile phone numbers if they are parking their vehicles for long periods of time at roadsides. Officials also urge that nearby police stations must be informed of any vehicles that are parked due to mechanical faults. Police also urge the public to contact the hotline 116 regarding information on suspicious individuals, vehicles and incidents.
Now, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe admits to foreign journalists that India had shared specific intelligence on Sunday's attack, although Sri Lankan officials were unable to act upon them. Speaking in Colombo, the Premier said that the training and coordination displayed in the multi-layer attack in Colombo, Negombo and Batticaloa on Sunday seemed to have had foreign involvement.
Have you identified all of the suicide bombers and how many of them were there?
Many of them have been identified, but not all.
Do you believe that other suspects are still on the run, or do you think you've got everybody?
Well, they are still looking out at who else is involved. Inquiries lead to other names.
I'd like to ask why, in after 10 years of the end of civil war,
minorities in this country still face all various forms of discrimination.
I think that many of the issues among the minorities have been resolved. And also the people are working together with each other. When this explosion took place, how all the religious leaders came out and said, look, let there be calm. And I must say, calmness prevailed in those areas. I think that shows the type of responsibility. The government will continue its policy of having unity in the country while cracking down on the global terrorism. But there certainly has been a big improvement in the country's relations between the different communities and different religions.
There are concerns that these emergency measures will be used to intimidate or harass minorities.
It's only on terrorism. Why is it that a country that is faced with terrorism accused of persecuting its minorities? We have an exact, very good relationship, and the relationship was shown in the last few days. It's being unfair by us.
Mr. Singh, how much have the tensions between yourself and President Sirisena come to play in the kind of safeguarding of information each to his own and not coming to everybody that needs to know?
I spoke to the president the day it took place, and we agreed, we recommended the police curfew. We have difference of opinion, but that's been thrashed out, and somehow, look, we've got to get the country out of this problem. Don't think we can start putting personal issues in front.
Your government said that 32 Sri Lankan Muslims went to join Islamic State in Syria back in 2016. Do you know, have they come back?
Some were killed there, some have returned, and the intelligence have been following them.
Are you convinced with the claims that have been made by the Islamic State that they are behind these attacks? And do you see a direct link?
Certainly the security apparatus has got the view that there are foreign links, and some of the evidence points to that. When the ISIS claimed it, we'll be following up on this claim. There was suspicion that there were links with the ISIS.
Whether if there was prior intelligence shared with the Sri Lankan government from Indian authorities with regards to jihadi terrorists.
There has always been sharing of intelligence between our two countries in regard to terrorism.
Was there specific intelligence on this?
There was specific intelligence on this.
Why was there not more security at churches ahead of this attack?
This is what we are inquiring into. Some areas there were. Some areas the police were active and the security was there.
How many people are on the run, sir? How many do you estimate?
No, I don't know.
While the country is still trying to get a handle on Sunday's horror, the Parliament convened today. Stay tuned for details.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel. This is AdaDerana 24.
Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, Parliament convened in a special session today to discuss the prevailing situation in the country stemming from Sunday's explosions. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, Opposition Leader Mahinda Rajapaksa and State Minister of Defence Ruwan Wijewardena made special statements at today's session. We strongly condemn the attack, which was launched on the 21st of April on 8 important places in the country, as it is a crime against humanity. A lengthy discussion was held today with the participation of heads of police and tri-forces, during which it was revealed that the security of the Parliament is greatly threatened. Therefore, I request you to be versed of the security measures and support in their implementation. Honourable Speaker, I suggest that a 2-minute silence be observed, since it's the National Day of Mourning.
ඔබතුමාගේ ප්‍රකාශයෙන් පස්සේ මිනිත්තු දෙක නිශ්ශබ්දතාවය ගම්මුද අද ජාතික ශෝක දිනය නිසා මිනිත්තු දෙක ජාතික ශෝකය ප්‍රකාශ කිරීම පාර්ලිමේන්තුව.
ගරු රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මැතිතුමාගේ ප්‍රකාශය. මොකද point of order?
ජාතිවාදී පදනම් කරගත්ත.
Today, terrorism based on religion has overshadowed terrorism based on nationalism. The police and the security forces are trying to arrest those who are responsible for the attacks, and we have given them necessary powers. Several suspects are already arrested, and we were able to obtain some important details from them. Muslim communities against this attack, and I suggest all the communities should get together. The Secretary General of the United Nations has requested all the countries to provide fullest support to Sri Lanka. Therefore, we have the fullest international backing. It is okay for the opposition to point out our mistakes. Although the intelligence units knew of the attack, the information was circulated among only few of them. I should drive your attention to the fact that the information was not forwarded to either myself or the intelligence units. We have a question as to why neither myself nor the Prime Minister was informed about the attack when the President was engaged in a foreign tour.
ගියේරිදා කොළඹ ශාන්ත ඇන්තෝනි දේවස්ථානයේ ඒ වගේම මීගමුව රෝහලට ගියාම මට මතක් වුණේ කැපිතිගොල්ලෑවේ සිද්ධිය. ඒකයි අපි මහ විල්ලාත් සිද්ධියෙන් යුද්ධය පටන් අරගෙන මේ රටේ ත්‍රස්තවාදී ඉවර වෙනකම් ආපස්සට හැරෙන්න බැලුවේ. මම හිතන්නේ මේ පිළිබඳව ෆොන්සේකා මැතිතුමා ඉන්නවා. එදා හිටපු හමුදාපතිතුමා ආණ්ඩු පක්ෂයේ ඉන්න මේ පිළිබඳව හොඳටම දන්න පුද්ගලයා වශයෙන් මම මේ අවස්ථාවේදී මතක් කර සිටින්න ඕනේ. 2015 ජනවාරියේදී මම නව ජනාධිපතිවරයාට බාර දුන්නේ සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම සුරක්ෂිත රටක්. වාස්කුවේ ඉරිදා සිදු වුණු ඛේදවාචකයට සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම වග කියන්න ඕන මේ ආණ්ඩුව. උද්‍යංශ දඩයම් කරමින් සිටි නිසා මේ රටේ ත්‍රස්තවාදීන්ට පහසු ඉලක්කයක් වුණා. මට දැන් පේනවා කවුරුෝ නිලධාරියෙක් බිල්ලට දීලා ආණ්ඩුව අතහොදන්න හදනවා. ඒ නිසා ඒ සිද්ධිය නිසා ඉල්ලලා අස් වෙන්න නම් අස් වෙන්න ඕන ආණ්ඩුවයි. කියනක මම පුනා කිව්වා. මගේ කිව්වා. හරි ඔබතුමාට ඒක තමයි මම කිව්වේ මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ ඉන්න ආණ්ඩු පක්ෂයේ ඔබතුමා තමයි මේ පිළිබඳව මේ අද තියෙන ත්‍රස්තවාදය පිළිබඳවත් හැඟීමක් තියෙන පුද්ගලයා වශයෙන් පෙන්වන්න පුළුවන් ඔබතුමා. ඉතින් කිසි ගැටලුවක් නැහැ. හොඳයි. අපේ කාලේ ආරක්ෂක අංශයේ ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙච්ච ආකාරය දන්නවා එතුමා.
Former Minister of Justice UNP MP Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa says that the government has failed to ensure the security of the country by disregarding his warning of a terrorist organisation back in 2016. Speaking to media today, the former Minister of Justice criticised the appointment of the current Secretary of Defence and the Inspector General of Police while highlighting that they are unfit for purpose.
On the
18th of November in 2016, I revealed in Parliament that there is a terrorist organisation amongst us. They comprise of members from 4 prominent Muslim families. People like Mangala Samaravira criticised me, saying that I am trying to spread radicalism in the country. Parliamentarians who made such statements should be held accountable for the deaths that took place on Sunday's attack. When Puji Jayasundar's name was nominated for IGP, I told them that he is someone who is good to be appointed as chairman of the Film Corporation because he should do what he is talented in. There is a Secretary of Defence who was a Commodore in the Navy who then later went on to sell paint and engage in other dealings with the Navy. What knowledge and experience does this Secretary of Defence possess? The President should be ashamed of appointing such an individual. There are 44 intelligence personnel who are in prison. How can the country function like this? When the Prime Minister says that he was unaware of the attacks, Haran Fernando says that he knew of it. Mano Ganeshan said he knew about the attacks a week earlier. If they knew about this, what action was taken? Couldn't they have passed a message to the Cardinal over the phone? Statues of Lord Buddha were destroyed in Mavanella and 100 kilograms of C4 explosives was discovered in Vanathavilluwa by intelligence units. There was also a training camp. Even a common man knows that this amount of explosives is enough to destroy the entire city of Colombo. Who are the leaders of this extremist group with? They are close to Muslim politicians. Then isn't this country important to them? Is it only their sect that is important?
එතකොට ඒගොල්ලන්ට මේ රට වැදගත් නැද්ද? ජාතිය විතරද වැදගත්? ආරක්ෂක ඇමතිවරයාගේ කාර්යභාර සම්බන්ධව ඔබතුමා සෑහීමකට වෙනවා. කිසිසේත් සෑහීමකටපත් වෙන්නේ නැහැ.
I'm not at all satisfied. The Minister of Defence has a responsibility that suitable people are appointed to head various units when it comes to the security of this country. When the Minister of Defence is not in the country, a secretary who is able to look over the operations should be appointed. There is no point having a scarecrow or the blind. He should have brains and the right attitude.
අවුරුෂයක් තියෙන මිනිහෙක් ඉන්න ඕන ආරක්ෂක ලේකම්වල.
මානවයේ සිද්ධියට සම්බන්ධ කරුණේ දුන්නේ පිළිවෙලක් සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඉන්නවා. ඒකට මේ අයට නිදහස් කරන්න කියලා දේශපාලන බලපෑමක් ආවා, ප්‍රබල දේශපාලන බලපෑමක් ආවද?
මම ස්තුතිවන්ත වෙනවා කබීර් හෂීම් ඇමතුමා ඒක බය නැතුව කිව්වා.
I'm thankful to Kabir Hashim for exposing this without fear. According to information that I received, Asad Salih had a role to play here. He suddenly became powerful and he was appointed the governor of the Western Province by the President. During a debate in Parliament, even Hizbullah said that now he is governor, children will take up weapons. No one questioned him. Now there is proof that this happened. Meanwhile, the University Grants Commission announced that all state universities will remain closed until further notice, considering the present security situation in the country. All scheduled examinations are also postponed until further notice. However, the UGC administration has requested academic and non-academic staff of universities to report to work as usual. Meanwhile, Minister of Education Akila Viraj Karyavasam said that all government schools in the country will remain closed until the 29th of April as a security precautionary measure. We will have more updates when we return from this commercial break. Stay tuned.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel. This is AdaDerana 24.
Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, CCTV footage related to the attack at the St. Sebastian's Church in Katuwapitiya in Negombo was released to media. Footage showed the suicide attacker entering the premises of the Katuwapitiya Church and his actions until the time of the explosion. Footage of the suicide bomber who carried out the attack at the St. Sebastian's Church in Katuwapitiya, Negombo during the Easter Sunday Mass was first captured on CCTV cameras at around 8:56 a.m. He is seen walking on the road towards the church carrying a backpack, however, without entering into the church premises. He then passes the church. Footage of the attacker captured on CCTV cameras once again at 8:59 a.m. He then entered the premises of the church exactly at 9 a.m. Footage shows a brief encounter between the attacker, who was on his way to the church building, and a little girl who was leaving the church premises with her parents and siblings. The suicide bomber then enters the church from a main door at its left. At the time, the pews were filled with Easter Sunday worshippers. He is then seen reaching the center of the crowd where worshippers were immersed in prayer before setting off the bomb. The clock read 9:01 a.m. The funerals of those who lost their lives in the spate of explosions on Easter Sunday were conducted across various locations today. A mass burial was held at the premises of St. Sebastian's Church in Katuwapitiya under the patronage of Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjith.
The coffins of the victims who perished in the explosion during the Easter Sunday Mass at the St. Sebastian's Church in Katuwapitiya of Negombo were brought to the church once more for their final rites this morning.
ඉතාමත්ම දැඩි පොලිස් ආරක්ෂාවක් වගේම විශේෂ කාර්ය බලකාය ශ්‍රී ලංකා ගුවන් හමුදා බටයෙන් ඇතුළු දැඩි ආරක්ෂාවක් තියෙන්නේ මේ ස්ථානයට
The church service on behalf of the victims was held under the patronage of Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjith.
මේ අකරතැබ්බයට පදනම් වුණු ඒ සමහර උදවිය අපි මේ කියන දේවල් අහගෙන ඉන්නවා ඇති. නමුත් ඒ අයට අපි කියන්න ඕනේ ඔබ මේ කළ දේ අපිට පිළිගන්න බෑ කොහොමද? මොනම උසස් චේතනාවකට වුණත් මෙහෙම දේවල් කරන එක වැරදි.
ශ්‍රී ලාංකිකයන් හැටියට අතිශයින්ම අපි කනගාටුවට පත් වෙනවා මේ වගේ ආරක්ෂක ලේකම් කෙනෙක් අපේ රජයේ ආරක්ෂක පදවිය පිළිබඳ ප්‍රධාන වගකීම දැරීම පිළිබඳව ආරක්ෂක ලේකම් හේමතිර ප්‍රනාන්දු මහත්මයා කියනවා මේ වගේ ප්‍රහාරයක් සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඔවුන් දැනගෙන හිටියා කියලා. නමුත් මේ තරම් විශාල ප්‍රහාරයක් වෙයි කියලා හිතුවේ නැහැලු. ආරක්ෂක ලේකම්වරයා තමන්ගේ ආරක්ෂා පිළිබඳ වගකීම දරන්න හරියට බෝම්බේ කැපැසිටි එක එන්න ඕනද? ඔහු වහාම තමන්ගේ නිලයෙන් ඉල්ලා සිටිය යුතුයි.
After the final rites were performed on victims of the blast, burials took place at several cemeteries in the area. Meanwhile, final rites of those who perished in other explosions were also performed during the day at various locations. In the meantime, funerals of 4 members of the same family took place at the public cemetery in Borella this evening. The parents and their 8-year-old daughter, along with their 1.5-year-old son, were caught in the explosion at the Kochikade shrine. They resided at Majid Place in Orugodavatta.
And that's it from all of us here at First at 9. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.